Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, and beloved members of the Sex Ed for You community, we gather here today to mark the somber and yet undeniably exciting end of an era. It is with both heavy hearts and hopeful eyes that we bid farewell to our dear Holland, who has decided to depart from our beloved Sex Ed for You to chase new dreams in the far-off land of graduate school. Yes, she is leaving us behind, not for another job, not for a vacation, but for the greener pastures of academia, where essays are long and free time is short. We can all agree, though, that the world of graduate school is very lucky to have her. Before she heads off to make groundbreaking discoveries in, well, we're still not entirely sure what. Let's take a moment to reflect on the immense legacy Holland leaves behind here at Sex Ed for You. First of all, let's talk about the new client management software. A feat of technological innovation that will continue to serve as the backbone of our operations long after she is gone. Holland spent hours ensuring that every client and every project was seamlessly tracked, organized, and I dare say, loved. Then there are the 60 podcast episodes which are now enshrined in podcast history as a testament to her vast knowledge, wit, and ability to make even the most difficult topics accessible and, let's be honest, fun. The social media content, the merchandise, the systems, each a living testament to the hard work, the passion, and the endless hours Holland has dedicated to this organization. And let's not forget about her love for each client. Holland didn't just manage clients, she nurtured them, connected with them, made them feel seen and heard in a way that only she could. Each email she sent was not just a message, it was a piece of her heart. As for Lauren, well, let's just say she'll be mourning this loss for the foreseeable future. No one really knows what life will be like without Holland in the trenches, running the show with her mix of grace and unshakable efficiency. Lauren, we are here for you. We know the path ahead will be different. But this isn't just an end, it's the beginning of a new era for Seffi. The baton is now passed, and while Holland may be moving on to the next chapter of her life, the mark she has left on this company is undeniable. Every corner of Seffi is infused with her hard work and her spirit, whether it's in the system she built or the culture she helped create. Holland, we will be forever grateful for your dedication, your brilliance, and your unwavering belief in the mission of this organization. You leave behind a foundation that will stand strong for years to come. And we can't wait to see the amazing things you accomplish in the next chapter of your life. Just don't forget us when you're too famous for us. May the next season of your life be filled with growth, joy, and just enough free time to miss us a little. Rest in peace, Seffi era. Long live the new one. So raise a glass to Holland. May her next adventure be as wild and wonderful as the one she's leaving behind, and may Lauren find the strength to survive the next few months without her with as much grace as she can muster. Here's to the legacy of Holland gone, but never forgotten. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm not gone yet. Welcome to the funeral episode of Sex Ed for You, where research meets reality. This is the podcast for people who want to date and have great sex that is safe, fun, and enjoyable.
We desire to empower you, our listeners, with informed decisions that lead to values-based living. My name is Lauren. I am a certified holistic sexuality educator and an embodied intimacy and relationship coach and the owner of Sex Ed for You.
My name is Holland Bankston, and I'm leaving. I can't.
We did it. We made it through.
In all seriousness, this is our last episode, friends.
Surprise. Surprise.
It's a surprise to us too, to be fair.
Kind of, but not really. So that's why we wanted to have a funeral episode.
Exactly.
I hope you enjoyed that intro. It was all Helen's idea. And that ChatGPT crafted funeral speech, which was hilarious and creepy at the same time because I didn't say anything about spreadsheets, and your spreadsheets are truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything about snark or like GIFs and memes that we send. I didn't say, like, some of those things that it said were weird.
Know?
I'm like, what is it looking at? Did it go into my text?
Yeah, because the snark thing really, especially the email, I was like, oh, it knows.
It knows.
That was, wow. I would love to talk about, gosh, I guess kind of how we reached this point. How did we get here today? Like almost throw in the rewind sound and like, what happened?
I just kind of want to wear my sunglasses.
Honestly, I think you should.
Feels very
I'm going to wear my shawl.
Except I can't really see you, so no. Yeah, rewind. How did we get here?
Yeah.
I'll go high level. You go micro. Okay. I'll go macro. You go micro. So way back when, Holland first emailed Seffi, which was almost 3 years ago to the day.
2.
Right? 2?
2022. Whoa. Wait.
No. It'll be 3.
Holy shit.
You've been here for 2.
Yes.
Wait.
No.
I started the business in 2022. So the end of 2022. Okay. So yeah, 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
2
you
years.
worked for the business for a full 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have, through the whole shebang, we have been very open and honest on this leap you were taking, the desires of your own heart you were following, the lack of promises I could make as an employer. Like, this business was baby when you first started, like infant. Your desire, we had always been very clear that you did have a desire eventually to pursue graduate studies or another level of education, but you definitely didn't want to do it right after undergrad. And that this kind of made so much sense, but that we would just need to keep checking in. And we've done that a lot. You guys have seen us renegotiate contracts kind of even on air. Things have changed as a baby business does. God, they evolve so much in the first few years. And Holland has been along for the ride. And there have been times where, yeah, it was very clear that you were doing things that were not the original intent of why we brought you on.
Right.
But it was what the business needed. And so you morphed and changed with it. And then macro, I would say only just like a month or 2 ago.
Yeah.
Something started shifting in you. Something started shifting in me. From my standpoint, again, macro, I'll let you tell the micro stuff of, it was starting to come into clarity of what Seffi was going to need in 2025. Like, that's just started to be like, ching. Oh, you know when it probably was, is when, I mean, all jokes aside, the ChatGPT wrote a great thing about our client management software. Once that finally started to become clear and it wasn't the day-to-day of implementation and you had put into process all these amazing automations, I believe firmly, y'all, if you haven't put this together, that the universe only gives us so much that we can handle. And we can handle a lot more now because our systems and our back ends are beautiful. They're like humming. And I think I started to have space to dream again, to do the visionary thing that I do, and was like, oh God, I know it's starting to come into clarity what I need in 2025. So that's what I was feeling. At the same time, and I'll let you speak to this, you were starting to feel the pull to the next thing. And having seen what you've done and feeling that urge, and yeah, they just converged. The urges converged.
Be a poet.
And I would like to spend another time talking about, that always sounds beautiful, but there's difficult conversations that have to come about through that. And then I'd love to talk about how it felt in my body, a little bit of a renegotiation of trauma, if we can. Yeah. So that, I feel like that's that's macro. What about micro? Like, were there other little things happening, or would you tell the story slightly differently?
No, I think you're exactly right. I don't even know what to add because I think so macro as well. But I think it really started to come into focus that like something not needed to change, but that like change was already happening.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like felt like I was along for the ride. I think there were little tiny things that were showing me like kind of running out of things I wanted to talk about on the podcast, or feeling like my creative side wasn't being as needed. And that I kind of sat down and realized like, oh, this isn't what I want to do. Like what I'm doing right now is not what I want to do.
Right.
I'm at Cephi because I love Cephi, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing what I need to do anymore to grow. Like I've grown so much within this business and within this position and being under you. And then I just kind of realized like, oh, I've hit like my ceiling. And it just was like a very abrupt feeling. Like I almost like woke up one day like just Frankensteined it and was like, whoa, this is different. I feel different. And I think it's time for change. But like you said, we can kind of transition into that of like, for me, change has never really been super scary. I've always really embraced the endings of an era, of a time. I've mentioned before on the podcast how like in high school and what is that called? Secondary school, just in general, almost every single end of school year, I kind of lost all my friends and then picked up new friends at the beginning of the school year. Like I have consistently seen endings throughout my life. I can mark my life by just very serious, like blacked out little spaces. Like there are just such defined times in my life. And I've never seen that as a bad thing. It's always been, it's so in alignment with who I am and how I work. I really enjoy having an end to something. Most of the jobs that I've finished, it's like, okay, ending and then move on. And it's always been like a healthy kind of way. I mean, I worked for my parents, and then when I left for college, I stopped working for them and would work in the summers, but it always felt like, oh, I'm just here for, a time. And it was just, endings have always been very, I guess, come naturally to me. And so this felt like I knew what the feeling was like. And I knew kind of within me that this was just another ending. Nothing bad, but just another ending. Especially for me, I can almost always point to like 2-year gaps, 2-year eras, seasons, whatever you want to call it. And coming up on 2 years, I was like, yeah, it's probably going to happen again. So I think I kind of knew even before the feelings started to settle that, oh, well, it's been 2 years. That's about right for me.
Yeah. And, I'm sitting here thinking about culturally, you and I have talked about on this podcast and outside of it, how our culture worships longevity and how that has been something that has been studied globally, but especially this American trait, right? Being in this certain job for 40 plus years, retiring after 50 years of service to such and such. And I think sometimes we can think that one is not quote unquote successful unless they have, given themselves away to a field, to a job, no, and that's not how it's supposed to look. It's just not. Sure, there are certain folks who are born and know, I want to do this with my life, and find that job, and it brings them joy day in and day out, and that is what they're meant to do. And I think we will always have those types of people. But yeah, not worshiping longevity is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. I was telling Holland in our big meeting, though, that so you guys know I'm a human design nerd, but I do think that it is interesting the amount of time that generators, in my case, are supposed to fill up, becoming like an expert at something, truly becoming a master of something, and then how much time projectors are supposed to be in a place. And projectors are really meant to come in and project what could be better and fix and do and kind of penetrate into this space and say, this is what I will improve for you. And then sometimes they do that, and then it's time to move along because they're not meant to keep doing that, and they're definitely not meant to be in a place where they are underappreciated. And I think by staying in a space, lots of projectors end up feeling unappreciated. Generators, on the other hand, are meant to really A, do what lights them up, but B, do it until they become a master. And 7 to 10 is what I consistently read with generators, that they love to stay in the work and nurture and massage this thing. And that's just cool. And to that point, I don't think I've had a lot of endings. If anything, I think I've had traumatic endings that were made to seem even more painful than they should have. Some that come to mind is my divorce, where I was told I couldn't get out. I was told I had no choice. I was told no type of things, made to do psychological evaluations, doubted in my truth of, no, this needs to come to an end. Things are not good here. Questioned. And then as I've thought back, I was homeschooled, so nothing really changed at the end of a year. I didn't go to some 4-year program, right? Like I don't have I did a lot of things for a really long time.
Yeah.
I don't have rituals and rites of passages like many people do that should have built up that skill. We spent one of our recent episodes talking about developmental things, and the skill to start, continue, and end a relationship is a big deal. And I was never given that opportunity to date and to successfully end a relationship and see that life goes on. And yeah, then when I did get my business acquired, I was not, because of the nature of the acquisition, when I did decide to leave to start this business, I was not given permission to help seek out my replacement, my successor, even though I did a ton of research on succession planning, wrote a ton of manuals, did all this stuff. I wasn't allowed to be a part of the hiring process. And that was a tragedy. That was something I really, really had to mourn because I felt like I couldn't close something out well, something that I had built to flourishing. I couldn't close that out well. And I thought of like one more. Just kind of these endings that I had wanted to do better, that I didn't have the ability to at the time. Maybe the tools, maybe the voice, maybe the power, maybe whatever it might be. I've had to do a lot of just like running from things,
right,
or just like tending to my wounds on my own. And it is what it is. But as I sat there thinking about the timing of this, I really saw it as an opportunity to renegotiate some trauma and let my nervous system see, oh no, it can be okay. Really can be okay. But it was interesting to feel in my body, like all of the anticipatory fears of like, oh, somehow this is going to blow up in your face. Because some of them, yeah, were kind of shocking.
Right.
Yeah. Hard stuff. So thank you for that, for allowing my body to renegotiate. Yeah. I think we've talked about this before too, the tendency to vilify in order to be the precursor for leaving something like a job that you're no longer satisfied in, or a relationship that you're no longer satisfied in. And it's funny because, of course, since it's the end of the year, lots of folks are talking about their jobs and talking about next year. And I think it's really interesting to be able to look at our profession or whatever and be able to say the sentence that we say often of, we don't get to tell someone else or something else how to love us. We get to decide if we want to participate in the way that they love. And I think there are so many employers out there who are allowed to have a certain idea of where they want their business to go. And they're not saying that this human in front of them has to fit into this. They're saying, this is what I need. But humans should equally, the employed, should get to go, yeah, no, that's fine. But I don't want to do that anymore. That's fine. So fine. because there's somebody else out there, who does want to do that work, or there's other work for us. That's what's wild too. Talk about what you are feeling pulled to, and that excitement that's in your belly, or the anxiety, or challenges.
Oh, there's a lot there. I think it began when Halloween was kind of coming around the corner, and I started planning mine and my boyfriend's Halloween costumes. And I was putting together Pinterest boards and all of this stuff. And instead of we went with Harry Potter. And so I was looking up like Ravenclaw stuff because I wanted to wear Ravenclaw things. And then I started digging into like Ravenclaw vibes. You know how Pinterest goes. You just fall down a hole. And so I fell down a Pinterest hole, and I just started finding all of this like beautiful imagery of like academia and reading and books and learning and libraries and tea and cute outfits and plaid. Just all of the things you would think of like a stereotypical, probably like private school. That's what this Pinterest board turned into. And it kind of just like almost, I think it just put the key into the lock. Like there was a locked door in front of me, and it almost just put the key into the lock. And I started to feel kind of roused in a different direction of like, I have loved so deeply everything that I've been able to do these past 2 years, but there's like a part of me that hasn't been really not nourished, but like hasn't had the space to be what it could be. And so I started kind of just allowing that to fester in a good way. And I started to wonder, like, I know I want to get into more reading and academia and things like that right now, but I don't know what that looks like for me. And so I just kind of set it on like a back burner and let it simmer. And then as we started closing out, I had been working these past few months so much on the CRM, on this system, on this back end, and on a lot of really administrative, like back end processes. I've been, like making giant spreadsheets and putting clients into a software and making sure that everything is running properly, setting up automation, setting up forms, onboarding flows, setting up just like all of this really like the paperwork side of what we do, which is absolutely necessary. And as I started to complete more and more and more of that, I was like, I'm becoming unnecessary. Like the job that I have done for the past year and a half that I was employed, year and a half-ish, a little more, was what this CRM is now going to be able to do for Lauren. Like it just like, it has made me almost obsolete. Like I don't need to be here. I built the system that is now replacing me, and I cost more than the system. And I like 1 + 1 = 2. Like I know what this means, and that's not a bad thing. If anything, it felt very freeing. Like because we did talk about like putting in a successor for me. And I kind of realized, I was like, I already did. I built my successor with my own 2 hands.
Sounds so creepy, and it's so true.
And that's just very odd. But there were so many late nights where I spent between me and a computer screen of spreadsheets and automations.
She was making a baby.
I was, and I birthed it. And it is now fully operational, and it's stunning, and I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it needs some tweaks and some growing, and, one of the experts from Sweet Dash to come in, and it will continue to grow, but it is at least an 8-year-old, it's got, it does everything a human should do. It can
go to the bathroom on its own and tie its shoes. It's house trained.
It's doing its own thing. And so, just realizing that I had built my successor, that I really wanted to get it back into academia, but I didn't really settle with the idea of going back to school, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to go back to school just to go back to school, because I have seen so many times people who go to school just because they're afraid of the real world, because they don't want to go get a job. They don't want to have to deal with all of that. And not that that's a bad thing. I think school is wonderful. I don't want to go to school just to go to school. I want to go to school with an intent, with a purpose, and get the degree that I think is actually going to further my career and my interests. And I don't want to just pay for something out of pocket to not use it. And so I've then had to sit in, like, I know I said when I graduated college, undergraduate degree, that I would begin school in 2025. I wanted to give myself 2 years to differentiate, to ensure that I wanted to be in this field, to just be absolutely certain that this is the right move for me. I didn't want school to be the default. I wanted school to be the choice. And so after living my life, seeing I can support myself, seeing I am fully capable of pretty much everything I thought and more, and that I can do whatever I want to do. I can move to Virginia. I can move to Florida if I need to. Like, I can do these things. I am capable. And so seeing how capable I am, I think, is going to make me a lot more capable of school, because I know myself, and I know that if I get into, the first week or two of classes and I'm like, oh, this isn't it, then I'll be okay. And that is really powerful to me. We always say that, the most powerful negotiation is the ability to walk away. And so knowing that school is genuinely just an option for me, not the end all be all, gives me, I think, a lot of like autonomy in the decision, and a lot of ability to make the right choice. And whether that be the program, the place, whether it's online or in person, whether it's a doctorate or a master's, like, I just have so much choice. I feel really like able to make this decision. I feel like I have the tools, I'm equipped, I have the support system, I have the references that I've gained from these past 2 years and from college. Like, I just feel so well resourced, and going into school that way feels so much better than just going to school to go to school. And I feel really proud of myself for allowing this to come to fruition, because I do think this is the way it was supposed to be for me.
Talk about the one admissions call you already did.
Oh.
Because just you saying you feel so resourced.
I do.
This made me laugh. First of all, y'all, there are not a lot of programs in our field at all in the States. Yeah. And because this is a frontier that many were too scared to go into, it was so highly pathologized for the longest time. You would just find, like, in the DSM-5, things like sexual dysfunction, right? Like, it was very like, just negative, and all in kind of line with addiction and stuff like that, right? Like, we used to call it female dysfunction and desire disorder.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. We have stopped calling these things those things, because we've realized maybe she doesn't have a disorder. Maybe she has an unhappy marriage.
Literally.
And she doesn't like her husband anymore, and he's an asshole. And instead of giving her a disorder that can be diagnosed and that goes in her record forever that she is broken, we should do something else. So all that said, it's a new frontier. So you've had one admissions interview. We don't need to talk about where, but what? Yeah. Tell them what that guy kind of said to you that was so cute.
I had this admissions interview that I put on the schedule because the second I started thinking about school, I think I mentioned it to you.
Yeah, because you were like, the cookie said.
Yeah.
Aren't you scared of that conversation? And
right.
You were like, no.
I was like, no. Not even a little, because it's me and Lauren. We're just going to have a conversation. So yeah, I put an interview on the calendar because I was like, if I don't do it, I'm not going to do it. I need to just put something on the calendar and get the ball rolling.
It's not going to be the end thing. It's just you got to start doing it. You have to start dipping your toes in.
I needed the ball to go, and needed to preheat the oven.
Yep.
So my preheating oven meeting comes around, and it is on a Tuesday. I essentially did not prepare for question because I felt like it was more like me interviewing them than anything, which is how program interviews tend to go, because they want you to come and whatever.
But they should be able to sell their program.
And it wasn't an admissions thing. It was literally just it wasn't admissions, but it wasn't like an interview to be part of the program.
Y'all know who those people are, right? Like
they're salespeople for colleges.
They literally are. Every college has them.
Yes.
And they're supposed to know the school though.
He was wonderful. He was very sweet. I think their sexual health program must be new or something, because it felt very like, how do I even describe? Like, it just felt very like I'm trying to like swat at flies in the air, and the flies are flying away very quickly. It was just not what I was expecting, and I like had all my questions. I asked about ICY. I wanted to know, is this program comparable to Sexuality, like sourced programs with really well-resourced people who are, just really excelling in the field. He didn't even know what that was, which is ICY's small, I guess.
ICY is the program that I went to, the Institute for Sexuality, Education, and Enlightenment, which is accredited by ASECT, which ASECT has... we found a nice big list of different programs that have been given credit to. If you do their program, you can become this, right?
Yeah, sex therapist.
And because we don't have many programs, right? You have to go through an LPC program, and then on top of that, it's not integrated yet, which whatever.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So Holland kind of throws that out.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what it is. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Because he wasn't just for the sexual health program. He was just the master's programs in general. And I was like, okay. But by the time we get to the end of our call, he had asked me like why I wanted to go into this program, what I've been doing, who I am, what I want to do, what's the goal. And I told him all those things. I told him, I've been working with this sexuality education and coaching company for 2 years. I have a degree in public health from Texas A&M. I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I do know I want to work more so on the business side of things. I want to educate educators. I want to work with people who help people, because I know that I cannot be direct like with a client. That is not my strong suit. We have learned. But I want to be in this field, and I want to go to school to learn about more opportunity and to learn more about the field. And I know that I would succeed and excel in any specific area that I go into. And by the end of the call, he kind of just was like, you don't really need to go back to school.
He was like, what you've done kind of sounds like a master's program.
Yeah. Because he was like, it's very like project based, and it's all online, and you're not going to be with a cohort, you're not going to be in person. Like, if you want to meet people, you can. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to just do projects online by myself
that you're paying them to do.
Right. I can do that. I can do that with you.
Right. And you had done it.
And I have done that with you.
Taken research and assimilated it down and made it deliverable, and given entire podcast episodes on sexually transmitted infections. And you could do that.
I've already done that. So it was just really funny that he was like, you could look at like these 6-week programs in like San Francisco. And I was like, okay.
Right. He was like Googling at the same time. Like, what about this?
And again, nothing against this man. He was very kind. But
I just thought it was precious.
It was very funny.
Because, you and I have been vocal on platforms like this and I so loved what you said at the beginning of the desire to go to school to further your hunger and feeling of, it's a bad use of the word, but inadequacy, in that like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
Right? There is a gap. Please fill in the gap I have of education.
Yes.
Is a beautiful reason to continue to pursue higher education. To pursue higher education because one feels that they are inept is sad. Because what we do is continue to perpetuate this like statement to human beings, you're inept, without more debt. Yeah. Please go back to graduate school when you don't even really know what you want to do yet. Yeah. Because so many people now do. Yeah. Like they graduate undergrad
and then go immediately into a master's. Yeah.
Into a master's. And it's such a success story when one does go into the field like you and realizes, ooh, these pieces I do like, this piece I don't like. That is a gift to your future self and to graduate programs.
Right.
Honestly.
And I just think it's so, like, I know I don't know the exact job title that I am seeking, but like, while that kind of makes me feel a little, but it's interesting because who does?
No, who does?
And it's interesting to me that is shocking to people. Because when I did go into that interview, he was kind of like, "So you don't know what you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I do." But
I wonder if some of that is just, again, societal. That it's like, I want to be a elementary school teacher. I want to be...
But then they end up changing it.
Yes, because we're human beings.
Yes.
And that's wisdom. That's not ignorance. Lord
I'm
have
excited
mercy. How many people do what they graduated undergrad with?
Right. Oh my God. Or even close to their field.
Most people continue to find and continue to develop and become. And those are my favorite people anyway.
I just don't think it really matters. I think it's so funny how my parents and people older than me have always said it doesn't matter what degree you have, just that you have a degree.
Yeah, I mean,
and
so
it's
much
true.
Of it is true.
It's so true. Just proving, because I think what they're looking for these days, almost everyone goes to college these days. And so they're looking for just the fact that you can persist and persevere through college.
Yep.
I don't want that for my graduate degree.
Nor should you want it. I think that there are programs where the people want to be there and they are all nerdy about the same type of thing. And it should feel like joy personified. I know that a virtual program doesn't feel right in your body. And so don't hear me say like, oh, this is great. But the folks that I met through IC and now through Embodied Lab, I mean, that's the best.
Yeah.
I adore them. I text with all of them. My message was not all of them, but like you find your little group.
Right.
And we did. And I am so thankful for them. And to be able to talk about, yes, difficult, conundrums in business, but more than anything, having people in the world who kind of you look through the same glasses with. So it's more, I have a colleague who's a sex therapist in the Midwest, but we're both parents too. And her girls are younger than me. And, we'll talk about being in this field and having growing, maturing young people. How do we honor their agency and autonomy? And what if they don't love our field as much as we do and are embarrassed of their parents in the field? Like, these are really wonderful things to have people around. Yeah, I want that for you, like that person to person type of connection. And because it's amazing. And that's the other thing I feel like a master's program really is supposed to give us, is giving you a broader look at the different ways people are using this field of study as work, as a job in the world. Yeah. Because there are a lot of people who graduated in my class with my cohort who are all doing very different things.
Right.
Like there's in-school sex educators. There's people who are writing and researchers. There's people who are traveling the world as journalists and writing within the lens of sexuality. I have colleagues who worked in behavioral health who got this to more address sexuality in teens. Yeah, with neurodivergency. Yes. Right? I mean, there's very yummy specifics that you wouldn't know about unless you go to school.
And I do wonder, too, if that's part of my design, because I didn't even know, like, that this was a possibility until I met you. Right. I so desperately need to see something in action before I can decide whether or not I want to be a part of it. Yeah. So I can imagine I sat down with a cookie the other day and I was like, I could do this. Like, I can name a million things I could want to do, but I really need to see it before I can make that decision. It's so hard for me to fathom what a day-to-day looks like without making eye contact with it, But
I think that's wisdom again, because you have emotional authority. And so I think that was you getting into this work. And my, oh my, aren't we so glad that you did this for 2 years instead of going right to a graduate program that put you on the field for person-to-person care. Yeah. Oh my God, so you had done that for years before you did any client-to-client work.
Yeah.
And saw the amount of time, right? What it looks like to sit with a person day after day, all of the behind the scenes type
draining.
of stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. I would have been an LPC.
Right? You would have just gone for that.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I
which
want to
is
work with
great.
survivors. This was going to be
Right.
great. It was a good heart. But my God, I wish
don't
it
think
was
I could do it.
mandatory
Right.
that people had to go sit in the field for a year or two and be like, huh, do you really?
Yeah.
Because certain people are going to get more jazzed by it. Like, oh my goodness, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. I mean, we laugh because my Aura Ring, guys, I have an Aura Ring. It literally, when I'm with clients, it's like in the relaxed state all day. And it's like vacation was more stressful to my body than sitting with clients all day. Wild, wild, wild. That is not how everybody functions.
Right.
It's not. It's not. It's not. And I am so glad you got to like be in it and be like, whoo, that would drain me.
Oh yeah.
Especially all of the back end stuff too. Like there's so much. I mean, now your system that you burst into the world does a lot of it. Thanks.
It does.
Thank you.
It does indeed.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's so automated. It does all these things.
It does. It just,
Somebody clicked buttons through their onboarding flow the other day and then boom, boom.
it just all
It was all
happened.
there.
It's like dominoes, beautiful, sexy dominoes.
Sexy dominoes.
Yeah. But I guess, yeah, school will be happening in some capacity, probably fall of 2025.
Although we did find like a few study abroad programs
Yes.
that looked really fun.
We'll see.
Somebody messaged us back.
I
One of the
did see
people.
that
Did you
this
see that?
morning.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this next chapter. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but Lord, have I ever known what my next chapter looks like before I took a full foot into it. No, I'm excited.
I think there's also something too, Holland's mentioned several times on this podcast that she has a second job, which is just like at a bakery and stuff. And we've talked about as well the gift of getting to do something like that where you clock in, clock out, you're with wonderful people who jazz you, but are not in the field. So that you can also check in with body and be like, do I miss this? Do I miss being immersed in this field every day? And getting to see if that desire, that hunger is still there too, which is really cool.
Right.
Like really awesome that also exists. That, yeah, then you can be like, do I want to still stay here in Central Virginia? You know, do I want to move somewhere else? Do I want to we did find a couple programs so far that do have on-campus types of learning, but they're not in Virginia.
No. And this is also the first time I realized this, like last night, the first time I'll be doing one single thing. My whole life, I have always done school and job and other job, like two things or more. Like my brain just works really well that way. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like for me to have one full-time job. That is going to be just that alone, no matter what job it was, is going to be a new adventure for me.
Yeah, it could be wonderful or it could be.
I'm curious.
Yeah, you might go stir crazy. But
I might.
But it also could be wonderful. Everybody deserves to have a season of that.
And trying it. I think it'll be good for me to try, because how good is that to know before I go into a grad program?
Right.
What if I want to do something that's only part-time and then continue? I've always loved coffee and bakeries. Like, what if I do want to forever work as a barista on the side of of whatever I end up doing?
Yes.
You know,
it's funny. We talk about human design so often, but we forget that Holland and I also both know Enneagram. I know a lot of fours who do that. They're happiest when they have a job that's paying the bills and a job that brings them joy. Right? Holland and I have brainstormed. She's such a good teacher. You know, what if she develops a YouTube channel that's all hers? And so she pops on and she's like, hi guys, once a week, and builds it to this huge following. And she teaches her sexuality education. But yeah, then you work as a barista.
right?
Like you can do whatever you want. Because now you know you can provide for yourself. You really can. And somebody asked me the other day, do you feel that a piece of you is healing watching her flourish? Seeing this whole world she has out in front of her. And that by Holland's time, you were already married for 2.5 years and about to have a baby.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. Yeah. So thank you for thriving, because I think it allows me to see, what all of us truly, if nurtured, if like encouraged, can just be. Like, go fly. Go fly. And not tied down to a space or a person or not vilified for desiring more. It's like, yeah, you want more? Go get it. And let there be a bevy of people who are like, you got this. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for not just the sexiest software there ever did exist. No, but for desiring something, wanting something, reaching out from nowhere, Texas after a video went viral. And yeah, moving to Virginia. Yeah, and hitting the ball back and forth for a year and a half once you were here of, hey, want to do this now? Hey, want to do that now? Hey, let's take off this. Hey, let's add this. Yeah, you can literally do anything. I have literal faith in you that anything you wanted to do, you could do. And it has been such a joy to see the things that you are naturally great at that happen literally so easily and so quickly, and then see you push through and persevere on the things you don't want to do. That's been such a joy to watch, like, yeah, how different people work and act. And I truly believe we should all be doing things that feel like taking a book off the shelf. Feels so easy and delightful and life-giving. And I don't think it's easy necessarily to find that, but I do believe we should be doing that. And that if we all listened a little bit more to the resentment, to the, I haven't gotten to learn as much as I wanted to because this business needs admin support right now, right? That we should just listen to that. There's nothing wrong with the business needing admin support, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to learn and to be hungry for knowledge and that like college core.
Okay, well, we've talked about my next steps. I want to talk about yours, about Sex Ed for You and about Lauren, Elise Ventures, and what she's up to.
Do you guys know that's the name of the LLC? It's so dramatic. Lauren, Elise Ventures.
I love it, though.
Yeah. I think that was also what was interesting, right? Is that while you were feeling rumblings, I was feeling rumblings too, that now that this software exists, now that you created your child to take over your job, I was like, because we had even said we had an influx of new clients this summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when we knew our shit CRM that we had purchased first had to go. But I was also like, we have got to figure something out because I cannot any longer be like afraid of because y'all, the moon, I guess, does it. People will just find the business and then it's like, boom, we have new clients.
Like 10
at a time. And it's lovely and it's amazing. And then we don't for a little while and we still have all our other clients, but it's just randomly. And in those moments, they're kind of like pressure cooker for the business. And in the summer, it was like, ooh, we got to have something. Right. And then, we've just had like kind of one of the other onslaughts. And it was just like button click, button click, button click. That's it. And then it was like the sexy dominoes. So as the dominoes were being set into place, it was giving my body space to start to dream and desire again too. And it was interesting because early on in the business, I wasn't as aware of what like my methods and my processes were. Now I feel really grounded and embodied in those. And so one day, literally not last Saturday, like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, but the Saturday before, I was sitting there and all of a sudden, like zoom, I was like, oh, I just want to invest in like marketing PR for 2025. Like that's all. It was like, boom, it hit me that there are people out there who need you, who are meant for you, clients who are meant for you that just don't know you exist. You don't need to do anything different. It was like the universe was like, you need to do nothing different. This is beautiful. This is fine. You love it. Your clients love it. Lives are changing. People just need to know that you're here. They need to be given consent and the option to know you exist. And so then again, zoom, into my brain popped this marketing firm that a colleague of mine had told me about 2 years ago. Yeah, like February 22. And I had been like, thanks, because I was interviewed on her podcast. And she was like, Lauren, you're a really good speaker. Have you thought about investing in a company that can get you guest podcast guesting on different podcasts? And I was like, I know I'm a good speaker. I just don't think I have my business solidified yet. I don't know what I fully do yet. I was still teaching 6-week courses. I was still offering courses here or there, building curriculum, doing all these things because it was the first year in business. I could do anything. So yeah, I just kind of put that, I guess, in some place in my brain. So that Saturday I texted my colleague and said, do you still like that company? And she was like, oh my God, yes, I've reinvested every single year. It has been a beautiful relationship. They are inclusive and queer owned and trans inclusive, like all of these things. And she was like, here's a link. You should schedule like a consult call with them. So that was a Saturday. Monday, guys, when the universe wants something to happen, it just happens. And I've known that all along. And with this business. So Monday I had a consult call with them and it was beautiful. They had me in tears. They were asking all of these questions that are like things I ask my own clients. Yeah, just very incredible. And they were like, you want to just meet again tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I guess let's just meet again tomorrow. So 24 hours later, I had talked to that colleague again, asked some of my like most critical questions, met with him again, and then we were like, let's do this. So yeah, I filled out the world's largest intake form. Y'all, just be thankful that for my clients, I don't make you do that because we do it in person. But I can see the benefit in me having time to sit down and really put things into words of what I really wanted and my true story. So yeah, starting in 2025, I'll be guesting on podcasts around the world. And my hope and true prayer is that they are audiences that I never would have reached before, that they aren't necessarily, and this is what I told them, sexuality related audiences. I would love it to be those who've survived religious trauma or those who've gone through divorce, or those who are in the musical theater profession and want to have more consensual dating experiences. Sure, those who've just had a child and want to regain a sense of their own sexual agency. And then I also just want to tell my story. And I think I've said for ages that there was a book I'm writing, but I also have been really thinking about, this is my first time like putting it on the internets, that I want to start saying, and my book, like I want to start stating it as if it is a thing that is happening, that is being done, because I think it's closer than ever. Unbeknownst to them, I had a bunch of clients say last week, which was Holland and I knew we were having our final wrap up on Saturday. The Saturday before was the marketing meeting or like brainstorm. Monday and Tuesday, I had those calls that were really transformational. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I saw clients. Wednesday, a client goes, Lauren, when I first started coming to you, I wanted a certain key to a door. And I wanted that key to unlock my ability to have pleasurable sex with my husband because he needed it and I wanted to give it to him. And she goes, but you didn't give me that key. You gave me a ring of keys that opened doors that I never knew existed inside of my own body. And now all those doors are opened and explored and I know who I am. And now I'm walking towards that door as a different person. She said that. Another client was like, this thing that you do is magic, right? And I was like, what? Like all of these people saying these things. So I am so thankful for clients that spoke truth that they didn't even know I needed last week. Because I think the thing that I'm doing is magic. And I don't want to go sell it. I don't want to. I would love to tell the story of what I'm doing and why I think it's magical and why I center agency and autonomy and why I think understanding our needs, wants, and desires and developing a sexual ethic and understanding consent as a modality that will heal the world and claiming pleasure is our birthright. Why I think it's transformational. And I don't want to like wrap it up in a tidy bow and market it. I want it to speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited about other people pitching it. I know over the year, what's really neat about this company too is they do audits of the podcast guesting. And I'm curious for their feedback on what they feel I'm not speaking of clearly enough and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll be all over in 2025. And that sounds exciting.
And we're going to have a place for all of them on the website so that you can find them and listen to them so that you don't miss us too much. We will likely be coming back for special episodes for, you know, when crazy things happen in the world and we simply just have to speak about them.
We do.
Yeah, who knows? We're not gone forever. Season 2 very well may happen, maybe while I'm in school. The door is open. We're not closing this door and saying goodbye forever. But this is the end of season 1. This is the funeral for an era, for a time, for a season, for this beautiful just success story of the first phase of Sex Ed for You. I think this is just such a beautiful ending to like book 1.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Sex Ed for You is so established. You have established a business and a model. You have created something that didn't exist out of thin air, out of that little brain of yours. And you have made it so well that it's now time to step into what does it look like for this to truly flourish. I think you have established such an incredible business, and it's stepping into a wildly open field of here we go. I'm so excited to see where it goes, and I'm not going to be anywhere far from it, so don't think I'm going anywhere. Not just you, Lauren, but you, dear collective audience. I'm not going anywhere mentally.
Maybe physically. We don't know.
We're not sure.
Yeah, no, that's what we've said is that when we talked about this on Saturday in our big, beautiful wrap-up meeting, this feels right to close it in this way. And yeah, to give us an opportunity. Again, I think the world is crazy. So things might happen where we're like, we need to do an emergency podcast episode, and it'll just be a special little episode that we can throw out to you all. And it takes like literally no time. But labor is important, and compensation for labor is important, and compensation doesn't always look like monetary compensation. And so we've talked, Holland and I, if she's in school and working on some project that she's like, oh my goodness, like I think I could wrap this into the project and this benefits this and it does this. Cool, right? There could be a compensation in that way. But I'm not ever interested in us doing unpaid labor that doesn't feel yummy in our bodies. I think that there are other ways things can grow us. My God, when I was first starting this business, the amount of unpaid hours we could say I did, right? There was unpaid labor, but it was driving towards a future goal. It feels right to close. And again, when we say that I probably missed out on a bunch of rites of passage, this feels like an appropriate rite of passage, which is why we did the funeral jokes and all that kind of stuff, is that it marks a conclusion, or a graduation, a graduation from the masters of Sephi to Sephi masters. I know this is putting you on the spot, but do you have like favorite takeaways or like?
God, I don't even know if I could begin to like bullet point them, because I was just thinking when you were speaking about how you built out this business and all the labor you put in, I was thinking about when I was an intern and was still at A&M, and I was just beginning with you, and just the scope of difference of what I was doing as an intern to what I do now.
It's wild.
And just, I remember just running home from school, so excited to like get on my computer and get on Canva and make these little graphics and make the journal articles and sit down and read these journal and annotate them. And you would have your notes in there that I would then get to go back, or I would make my notes and then send it to you, and you would make notes on my notes. And I was just like, just the nurturance that I felt in that period of my life of how, wow, this is what it looks like to have a mentor, to have someone really show you what life could look like, and to really like encourage me and nourish me in such a beautiful way. It was, I mean, it's no shock that I moved across the country for you. I was like, what is this? What is this unconditional support? It was phenomenal. And I was so thirsty for what you have continually provided me. And this business has shown me, like, oh my, I just feel like my eyes have been opened to a whole new world. Like I've said before, like sexuality is the door you open and then you find yourself in a vortex. Like you literally just like, it changed my life. It changed how I communicated. I think the relationship that I was in shortly after I got here, I think that was huge for me. Wow, because it was in such this transformative time where I was learning about consent and about what I wanted to do with like sex and sexuality. I was focusing on just so many things and on myself. And then to have that really not fantastic relationship happen, and to see that even though I'm in this field, I can still make mistakes, still fully see a lot of red flags and just walk right past them. It was so important for me to make that mistake, to have that relationship, to see the way that you continued to support me through my bad decisions. It was phenomenal. I think it was so needed because I felt so supported in my bad choices.
So funny to think that that's like, yeah, that feels absolutely connected.
Yeah. I needed it. It was so instrumental to who I am today, the relationship that I'm in today, the way I carry myself, the way I take no bullshit in my day-to-day life, the way I am so truthfully like blunt in who I am and who I want to be.
Let's not forget 1.0 too.
Oh my God, I forgot about 1.0 too. Yeah, that was also important.
I feel like there was like stepping stones to this.
There was all the I guess, yeah, the 3 little relationships that I've had. It was, what did we call him? Golf guy?
Well, I guess, I don't know if he had like a name.
I think it was golf guy or peacock.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then 1.0 and then cookie.
Yep.
And all 3.
Yeah.
So necessary. And I think it was like necessary while I had this work going on because I saw myself grow in each relationship of like, can you speak up for yourself? Can you be the woman that you say you want to teach other people to be? Can you embody your values? Can you be what you believe in? Can I do that? And like to grow up through this work and through those relationships and through moving away downtown to move, like all of these little things were so important. And I think the work I've done with Sephi, like as like, you know, I paid to clock in doing this work is so important to me. But what my highest takeaways were how the work was affecting my life. It was just so interconnected. Editing the podcast was incredible. Doing journal articles was always important. Doing content, working with clients, finding and failing at that first CRM, working on this second CRM. All of those things are so important to who I'm going to be in the future and the business capabilities that I now have and the way I can now see the insides of a business and understand them. so valuable. But what I really feel is the way this work and being around you and seeing the influence that this work has on other people's lives, how it impacted me as a human. I think that is far and above the most important thing that happened in these past 2 years.
It's one of the things we said right in the beginning, which is what a field where it's almost required that we be practicing what we preach. And I can't think of a greater takeaway of, yeah, the work, but the ethics. Yeah, the work, but not yucking someone's yum. Yeah, the work, but, you know, saying that mistakes are beautiful lessons that we learn and lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Like what an honor to get to walk. I mean, we just did the podcast on like 25 being like the frontal lobe development time, you know, and like you're not there yet.
Yep.
It's just what a fascinating thing it was for me to work with someone as competent as you, and yet to feel in my belly and my bones that it was not my place to like say, but this is how you should do things. Right? Like I even remember us talking about your move and me being like, do it. Like,
Yeah.
Well, something's going to happen. Like a lesson will be learned. I don't know. I could tell you, oh, I think you'll miss the walkability of over here, but you get to decide.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what this individual was also saying is, do you think it was healing because it was such a neat opportunity to get to watch you date and try things out and experience pain and experience this, that, and the other thing. Yeah.
With like a safe fallback, like a safe space. Like it was the first time, not that I don't have supportive parents or supportive friends back home, but like the way in which you are able to support me because of the work that you do.
Yes.
Because you are the person that you are because of the work that you do, because of the reading that you do, because of that type of support that you were able to give to me. I was able to play and make mistakes and have experiences and then have like you as my friend and my mentor and my boss to go to and know that you would have like the most sage wisdom available in the world. I was like that is an experience I don't think can be matched. I don't know if it's possible. So and then to come out of this on the other side of like, we're not going to be boss and employee anymore. And that is going to be such a new experience for us to step into, because it's like, we're not going anywhere. We're like very cemented in each other's lives now. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we operate as outside of the dynamic that we have created for ourselves. Because we have so carefully constructed boundaries because of the nature of our relationship. And I think it's going to be really cool to reconstruct those boundaries.
Yep. No, it will be fascinating. I was just thinking about your NDA. Sorry, my brain got That's literally where my brain went. I was like,
I'll re-sign it, don't worry.
Yeah. I was like, I think this needs to be in perpetuity, whatever that word is. So all of a sudden my brain was like, oh yes, that's right. No. We do have boundaries to renegotiate because this work is still like highly confidential. So if I don't know if your client watching, don't worry that like NDA doesn't get unsigned. No, that is
pretty sure it did say forever.
I think it says forever and
we're
ever.
We're going to make
amen.
sure though.
Sorry. It was up to Holland whether or not she wanted to do that and be a part of the inner systems like that. So that was a consent-based decision. It's the only thing I think that like consent couldn't be revoked on. I haven't really thought about that, but like someone else's privacy, that would be a fun podcast topic. Anyway. Yeah. How cool. Hadn't really thought about that. The difference. Somebody else has said this. They were like, God bless Holland trying to work anywhere else because you two have done things so intentionally that it's almost like I roll intentionally. But again, the profession, I just felt like asked for it.
Demanded it.
I've also built other businesses and crashed and burned and knew things that I didn't want to happen. And I wanted to try, at least, not to let it happen again.
And I saw that it was possible. You saw that it was possible.
Yeah. I was like, I think if you just need to clearly communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a big thing that doesn't happen in other jobs and spaces, and resentment builds up, and yeah, crazy town. So crazy. It feels almost a lifetime ago.
Yeah. Oh my God. I think it is a lifetime ago for both of us. Think about how much we've both changed, how much sex ed for you has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. From the beginning of 2023, January 1st of 2023. It has been 2 years exactly the day that this comes out.
Insane. It's insane. Like, it's changed so much and yet not at all, but yet so much. Like, I think clients wouldn't necessarily know the difference. How the business is run, y'all, has changed so much.
Night and day.
I feel so much more equipped, so much more grounded in my voice and my method of practice. And yeah, please know that your fingerprints are forever on everything. And it's also really cool to me that you'll be able to say, like, oh, I knew that business when. Like, oh, that may look all fancy. And yeah, but let me tell you, we once purchased a software that was horrible. And we had to use it for a year because we were such a small business that we didn't have money to go buy a new one. And they weren't refunding us. It was bad. It was bad times, but lessons that we learn. And yeah, thank you feels silly. We are doing our own private, you're not going to be invited, but celebration on the 12th of January or something, which is the first free moment we have between now and then. And I think it'll be really good.
I do.
I love you.
I love you.
So thankful for you. And I cannot wait. I got all teary the other day when we were talking about her graduating to these things. And I was like, I will be there. And Holly was like,
I knew that.
I didn't expect it. You wouldn't.
You better be.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to witness you. Thank you. Yes, for all the work. But more than anything, thank you for your heart. Thank you for following that. Thank you for following your emotional waves and being true to them and prioritizing yourself in this season. It's so lovely to work with someone who is as trustworthy as you, who knows their limits, who knows that their own desires are not my job, they're her job. And it is inspirational. And I hope that the audience who listens to this checks in with themselves and says, are there any relationships or employers or this or that in my life that I'm currently blaming for my lack of ability to be where I want to be? Because we are all so able, so able, and you are an example of that. So thank you. I love you.
I love you.
Do you want to say anything in closing to this audience as we wrap this up?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to begin. Just get ready. I mean, you are more capable than you could ever even imagine if you just let yourself. I think that's the most important part. Go to therapy. Go to therapy if you feel stuck. All of the, if I can do it, you can do it. I think that's one thing. I don't want to be this big, oh my God, look what Holland is doing. That's crazy that she's doing that. It's crazy that she went to Cephi, moved for Cephi, left Cephi, is doing all of the, it's not unattainable. I think that's the only message I really want our followers to know is that this is not unattainable. This is something you can do. You just have to do it. And I'm insane enough to have done it. So let yourself be a little crazy. Let the people in your life think you're a little crazy.
Yes.
And do it.
Amen. On that note, we will close out this podcast. please remember that these are obviously opinions and stories and lived experiences, and you have a right to make informed decisions. You have a right to self-determination. If you just heard that speech and you were like, but I don't want to do new things, you don't have to. You don't. Oh, if you want to know more about Sex Ed for You and get yourself inside that sexy system, go to sexedforyou.com/free consult, and you can request a consult. Holland is no longer reviewing those. If you're watching this podcast, I am. So be nice. Maybe, just maybe, I'll confirm your request. You and I can chat for 15 minutes or so, and you can tell me the obstacle that you're looking to overcome, and I will tell you how I work with my precious clients, and you can ask any questions at all about that. Anything you want to say to them?
Follow us on Instagram at sex_ed_for_you. And yeah, you better be nice in those requests because I was filtering the weird ones out. So if you think about sending a weird one, don't. Stop it. Be nice. Lauren's a human.
Don't do it.
I'm very protective. And I may not be reviewing them anymore, but I do go to the gym.
I love that she just flexed her muscles. I will sick her on you. That's what I will do. I'll be like, oh, and I got a mean one. Maybe that's one thing I'll hire out to a random admin somewhere. I'm like, all you got to do is filter these requests.
Literally just
filter. And if they're horrible people, don't let it happen.
Yep.
So please be nice in there.
Please be nice.
All you have to do is not say crude and demeaning things, and you usually will get through.
Yep.
Yeah, but follow, like, subscribe, share in the comments. Throw your congratulations and well wishes to Holland, and
subscribe so you get notified when we come out with
like a surprise episode. Yeah, you
episodes.
should do that. That'd be good for you. Have a great rest of your day. If you caught this episode because it was dramatic, go back and listen to some of the other ones. They're really good. They really are. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.